Welcome to Empathy Stories, where we uncover the profound impact of courage, resilience, and integrity in the face of life's greatest challenges. Today, we bring you the gripping tale of Michael Carter, a visionary betrayed by his closest ally and Sarah Monroe, whose bravery transforms a story of deceit into one of redemption. On a crisp autumn afternoon, sunlight streamed through the expansive glass windows of the Lexington Bistro, a refined meeting place for New York City's elite. The hum of whispered conversations, the occasional clink of glasses, and the aroma of fresh espresso filled the air. This wasn't just a restaurant. It was where deals were made, alliances formed, and fortunes changed. At a corner table sat Michael Carter, co-founder of Carter Tech Solutions, a young entrepreneur in his early 30s who had built his company from the ground up. His sharp features were etched with a mix of determination and tension as he adjusted the cuffs of his navy suit. The document in front of him was more than just paper. It was the culmination of years of relentless work. Signing it would cement Carter Tech's place among the top tech firms in the country. Yet, as the pen lingered in his hand, he couldn't shake a gnawing unease. Across from him, Ryan Blake lounged in his chair, the epitome of effortless confidence. His tailored suit, impeccable grooming, and easy charm were a stark contrast to Michael's tightly wound demeanor. Ryan was more than Michael's business partner. He was his best friend since college, a bond forged over late-night study sessions and shared dreams. "Relax, Mike," Ryan said with a grin, leaning back and scrolling through his phone. "This is it, the moment we've worked for. After this, Carter Tech is unstoppable." Michael nodded, forcing a smile. "I just need a minute," he said, rising from the table. As Michael disappeared toward the restroom, Sarah Monroe approached their table, pitcher in hand. Sarah, a waitress at the Lexington, was 25 years old, her auburn hair pulled into a neat ponytail. She was used to being invisible to the powerful patrons she served, blending into the background while they conducted their business. But today, something about Michael had caught her attention. The subtle tension in his voice, the way his hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his tie. She leaned over to refill Ryan's glass when his low, deliberate voice froze her in place. "Yeah, everything's set," Ryan muttered into his phone. "Michael has no idea. Once he signs the deal, Carter Tech is mine. He'll be out in the cold before he even realizes what happened." Sarah's hand shook, the water nearly spilling over the glass as her mind raced to process what she'd just heard. The coldness in Ryan's voice, the calculated cruelty of his words. It was a betrayal so callous that it sent a chill down her spine. She retreated to the bar, her heart pounding. She wasn't part of their world, just a waitress. What right did she have to interfere? Yet, the image of Michael's anxious face haunted her. His trust was about to be shattered. His life's work stolen by someone he called a friend. Could she live with herself if she said nothing? Summoning her courage, Sarah returned to the table just as Michael sat back down. Her legs felt heavy, and her voice wavered, but she pushed forward. "Excuse me, Mr. Carter," she said, barely above a whisper. Michael looked up, his dark eyes narrowing in confusion. "Yes, Sarah hesitated, her throat dry. "I don't want to overstep, but I overheard something. Your partner, Ryan, he's planning to betray you. Once you sign the deal, he's going to take the company." For a moment, Michael just stared at her. The words hung in the air like an unbearable weight. "What?" he managed to say, his voice tight. "I know it sounds crazy," Sarah continued, her voice trembling. "I'm just a waitress. I probably shouldn't be getting involved, but I couldn't stay silent. He's setting you up." Michael's face went pale, his mind reeling. Ryan? The man he trusted with his company? His best friend? The betrayal felt like a physical blow, and yet there was something genuine in Sarah's eyes, a sincerity that broke through the fog of disbelief. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice strained. "I'll handle it." That evening, Michael sat alone in his office, the city skyline twinkling outside the window. His thoughts swirled in a storm of doubt and disbelief. Could Ryan really be planning such a betrayal? The man who had stood by him through every challenge, who had been like a brother, unable to shake the unease. Michael picked up his phone and dialed Nathan Grant, a private investigator he had worked with years ago. "Nathan," Michael said, his voice low. "I need you to look into Ryan Blake. I think he's planning something. I need the truth." Nathan's voice was calm and reassuring. "I'm on it. Give me 48 hours." The next 2 days were agonizing. Michael went through the motions at work, but every interaction with Ryan felt like a knife twisting deeper. Ryan's easy laughter, his friendly banter, it all felt like a cruel facade. Meanwhile, Sarah kept a watchful eye from afar. She saw the strain in Michael's posture, the weight he carried, and silently hoped the truth would come to light. When Nathan's call finally came, Michael's hands trembled as he answered. "Michael," Nathan said grimly, "I found something. Ryan's been funneling company funds into offshore accounts. He's been planning this for over a year." Michael's heart sank. The betrayal confirmed in cold, undeniable terms. The man he trusted most had been plotting his downfall all along. Anger and hurt coursed through him, but beneath it all was a steady resolve. "Freeze his accounts," Michael instructed, his voice tight. "I'm confronting him tonight." As the city lights blinked like distant stars, Michael prepared for the confrontation. The weight of betrayal bore down on him, but so did a sense of purpose. He wouldn't let Ryan destroy everything he had built, not without a fight. The following evening, Carter Tech's office was eerily quiet. The hum of the city outside, contrasting sharply with the tension brewing inside. Michael Carter sat at his polished mahogany desk, his jaw clenched as he reviewed the evidence Nathan Grant had provided. The financial records, the offshore transactions, and the communications were all laid out before him. An irrefutable portrait of Ryan Blake's betrayal. Michael's emotions swung between anger and sadness. Ryan wasn't just his business partner. He was his best friend, someone he'd trusted implicitly for years. How could a friendship so deep unravel into this web of deceit? The questions haunted him, but he knew he couldn't dwell on them. There was too much at stake. A message popped up on his phone. It was from Ryan. "On my way. Let's make history tonight." Michael's grip on the phone tightened. The irony of Ryan's words stung. But Michael refused to let the bitterness consume him. He had a plan, and he needed to see it through. When Ryan walked into the office moments later, his usual charm was on full display. His tailored suit and confident stride seemed almost theatrical as he approached the desk. "Mike," Ryan greeted, his voice enthusiastic. "Ready to take Carter Tech to the next level?" Michael didn't smile. His gaze was cold, his tone measured. "Close the door, Ryan." The change in Michael's demeanor didn't escape Ryan, whose confident grin faltered slightly. He pushed the door shut, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. "What's this about?" Ryan asked, his tone still casual but tinged with unease. Michael leaned forward, sliding the stack of documents across the desk. "It's about this," he said, his voice steady. "The offshore accounts. The money you've been siphoning. The plan to take the company." For a moment, Ryan's face froze, his carefully curated facade cracking. Then, he laughed a hollow, forced sound. "Mike, come on. This is ridiculous. Offshore accounts? You've been watching too many crime dramas." Michael's eyes didn't waver. "Don't insult me by lying. Ryan, I trusted you. We built this company together." "Why?" Ryan's expression darkened, the mask of charm falling away. His voice turned cold, his words dripping with disdain. "Why?" "Because you're too weak to take this company where it needs to go. You're too busy playing the nice guy, making everyone happy. I did what I had to do." Michael's heart ached at the blunt cruelty of Ryan's words, but he refused to let it show. "You didn't just betray me. You betrayed everything we worked for." Ryan leaned forward, his tone growing venomous. "Don't act so surprised. Mike, this is how the world works. You either take what's yours, or you get left behind. You've always held me back, and I'm done playing by your rules." Michael's voice remained calm, though fury burned at his chest. "It's over. Ryan, your accounts are frozen, and the board will see everything you've done. You won't ruin this company." Ryan's face twisted with rage. He slammed his fists on the desk, leaning closer. "You think you've won? This isn't over. I'll find a way out of this. And when I do, you'll regret ever crossing me." Without another word, Ryan stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The sound reverberated through the office, leaving Michael alone in the tense silence. The days that followed were chaotic. Ryan's betrayal sent shockwaves through Carter Tech. Investors panicked, and whispers of scandal filled the industry. To make matters worse, Ryan began feeding lies to the press, attempting to smear Michael's reputation in a desperate bid to salvage his own. Through it all, Michael leaned on the few allies he could trust. Nathan worked tirelessly to solidify the case against Ryan, ensuring the evidence was airtight. Meanwhile, Sarah Monroe continued to support Michael in her quiet, steadfast way. Sarah's courage hadn't ended with her initial warning. Despite her background as a waitress far removed from the high-stakes world of Carter Tech, she had become an integral part of Michael's efforts to navigate the storm. Her presence in the office was a constant reminder of the importance of integrity and doing the right thing, no matter the cost. "You saved me," Michael told her one evening after an exhausting day. "If you hadn't spoken up, I would have signed that deal, and everything would have been gone." Sarah smiled faintly, her humility evident. "You deserve to know the truth. I couldn't stand by and watch you get hurt. You did more than that," Michael said, his gratitude clear. "You gave me the strength to fight back." As the weeks passed, the tide began to turn. Ryan's lies unraveled under the weight of the truth, and the legal team built an airtight case against him. When the authorities finally arrested Ryan Blake on charges of fraud and embezzlement, the headlines splashed across every major outlet. "Betrayal at Carter Tech. Co-founder arrested in multi-million-dollar scheme." Michael's relief was tempered by sadness. The man he had once called a brother was now his greatest adversary, and the scars of that betrayal would take time to heal. But as he looked around the office, where his team rallied behind him, their faith in his leadership renewed, he knew the fight had been worth it. Amid the chaos, Michael found a surprising source of strength in Sarah. Her quiet determination and unwavering integrity inspired not just him, but the entire company. Together, they began to rebuild Carter Tech, piece by piece, with a foundation stronger than ever before. The dust of betrayal began to settle, but the aftermath left Michael Carter standing at a crossroads. Carter Tech had weathered the storm, but the scars of Ryan Blake's treachery ran deep. Investors were wary. The media had a field day with the scandal, and the company's reputation hung precariously in the balance. Yet, Michael knew one thing for certain. He wasn't going to let Carter Tech crumble under the weight of deceit. The arrest of Ryan Blake sent shockwaves through the industry. The headlines were unrelenting. "Business betrayal uncovered. Co-founder of Carter Tech charged with fraud." And tech giant survival amid scandal. Michael, though shaken, stood firm. His strategy was simple: transparency and integrity. He called for a press conference to address the situation directly. On a crisp autumn morning, Michael faced a room filled with reporters, cameras flashing in rapid succession. He began with a deep breath. "Carter Tech has always stood for innovation and trust," he said, his voice steady despite the pressure. "The betrayal by Ryan Blake is a painful chapter in our story, but it does not define us. What defines us is how we respond, with honesty, accountability, and a commitment to moving forward." His words resonated. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. Investors, impressed by his candor and leadership, returned. Employees, inspired by his resilience, worked harder than ever to restore Carter Tech's standing. The company wasn't just surviving, it was rebuilding with renewed purpose. Throughout this turbulent time, Sarah Monroe remained a quiet but powerful force at Michael's side. Despite the challenges she faced as an outsider to the corporate world, her courage and moral compass never wavered. She became a symbol within the company, a reminder of the values they aimed to uphold. One evening, after a long day of strategizing and damage control, Michael found himself standing on the rooftop of Carter Tech's headquarters. The city skyline stretched before him, glittering like a sea of possibilities. He was joined by Sarah, who had become not only an ally, but someone he deeply trusted. "We've come a long way," Michael said, his voice carrying a mix of exhaustion and gratitude. Sarah nodded, her gaze steady. "And there's still a long way to go. But I believe in what you're building." Michael turned to her, sincerity shining in his eyes. "I want you to be part of it. Sarah, you've shown more courage and integrity than most people I've worked with. Carter Tech needs people like you. People who stand up for what's right, no matter the risk." Sarah blinked, surprised. "Are you offering me a job?" Michael smiled. "More than that. A partnership. You've earned it." For a moment, Sarah said nothing, overwhelmed by the weight of his words. Then, a smile broke across her face. And for the first time in months, hope bloomed in her heart. "I'd be honored." Their handshake sealed more than a professional agreement. It was a bond forged in trust, shared values, and a commitment to building something better. Together, they envisioned a future where Carter Tech would stand not just as a beacon of innovation, but as a company defined by its principles. As the months passed, the company thrived under Michael's leadership. The crisis had forced a reckoning, but it also created an opportunity for growth. Carter Tech launched new initiatives focused on transparency and community engagement, earning back the trust of its stakeholders. For Michael, the experience was transformative. He had faced betrayal and emerged stronger, not by compromising his values, but by holding steadfast to them. Sarah's bravery had reminded him of the power of doing what's right, even when it's difficult. And together, they had proven that integrity wasn't just a moral ideal. It was the foundation of lasting success. Standing on the rooftop again months later, Michael looked out at the city, the wind carrying the crisp scent of autumn leaves. Sarah joined him, a cup of coffee in her hand, and they shared a quiet moment of reflection. "Do you think we've made it?" Michael asked, a rare vulnerability in his voice. Sarah smiled. "I think we're just getting started." In that moment, Michael realized that betrayal might have shaken Carter Tech, but it hadn't broken it. The company, like its founder, was stronger than ever. And with people like Sarah by his side, Michael knew they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they had turned a story of betrayal into one of redemption, proving that integrity and courage could light the way through even the darkest times. Michael's journey is a testament to resilience and the strength of moral leadership. Betrayed by someone he trusted most, Michael faced a situation that could have broken him. Yet, instead of succumbing to bitterness or revenge, he chose the higher path of transparency and integrity. His ability to lead with honesty in the face of betrayal teaches us that true strength lies in staying true to one's values, even when circumstances are at their darkest. Michael reminds us that leadership built on trust and authenticity creates a foundation for lasting success. Ryan's character is a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked ambition and greed. His betrayal of Michael and Carter Tech highlights how a single-minded pursuit of power, devoid of loyalty and ethics, can lead to devastating consequences. Ryan's downfall serves as a reminder that trust is fragile, and actions driven by selfishness ultimately destroy both relationships and reputations. His story is a cautionary tale of how ambition, when untethered from integrity, can lead to one's undoing. Sarah represents the quiet strength of courage and moral conviction. Despite being an outsider in the corporate world, she risks everything to warn Michael about Ryan's betrayal. Her bravery in standing up for what's right, even at great personal risk, underscores the power of individual actions in creating meaningful change. Sarah's role reminds us that integrity doesn't require a title or position, just the willingness to act when it matters most. Together, their stories highlight the enduring importance of trust, courage, and the belief that integrity can rebuild what betrayal tries to destroy. These lessons are timeless and resonate across all facets of life. Thank you for joining us on Michael and Sarah's incredible journey of betrayal, courage, and renewal. Their story reminds us that even in the darkest times, standing by our values and acting with integrity can lead to redemption and growth. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to Empathy Stories for more heartfelt narratives. We'll see you next time.